Okay, today we're going to look into how to basically create a PWA, so a progressive web app in neoan3. So what is a progressive web app? I mean, I kind of think you're here because you know that, but just as a overview. So this is basically the possibility that browsers nowadays give us to register service workers and basically make an app out of a web page and stay in contact and have offline functionality and basically generate something that is as close to native app as it can get out of a web page. So you only have to maintain one web page, and it can basically function as your app. So this means you basically can install that on Android, on your. We're actually going to try it out on a Windows machine here. It's platform agnostic, so it's independent on where you install it, and that is actually pretty awesome from a lot of perspectives, and will probably gain more traction in the future. It's already a very hyped topic in the development era, but the adoption will grow over time. And you've all seen those, like little pop-ups coming up on Medium or whatever. Install this to home screen. That's basically what a web app is, what a progressive web app is, and we're gonna look into like how can I make this happen in neoan3 in the most easy way. So I basically have a demo project open here. Let me actually see. This is the old video folder. We used this before, and so it doesn't do actually much. I just cleaned the demo for now, and so what I want to do is, because I think that, okay, we only have the not found, and then the register, is that even a route controller? It's not. So we're going to create just a basic second view. Let's just say new component. Let's call that second for no particular reason, and make that a route component. Come on, computer. There we go. So it's route with a view, and I also want to use the demo frame. That's all fine. So where's my second? Here. And actually, I'm just going to leave that as is, and basically do nothing in particular here other than saying give me a link back to demo. Okay, let's quickly try that out. So we call that second. Okay, and it's all we want to do, just for demo purposes. And probably on our first view, we're going to create the same here. So we can click back and forth and have somewhat of a menu. And actually, I like this container idea, so it's not completely out of the realm at the side, so it's easier to look at. So let me see. Okay, so probably what CSS causes this interesting behavior? Oh, this is in a P. I see. Let's put that in a paragraph, then it's easier to read, I suppose. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so that's all we need to do. So this is basically now a regular thing. If I were to basically say, hey, we're going to cut the network off, I'm just going to simulate that right now, and offline, there we go, and would start to reload this, then of course, this is not working. I cannot work in this environment if it's offline, of course. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to visit, and I'm going to show you this link at the bottom of this video, to a package I created just for, well, a quick start into this era, basically. So what I want you to do is I want you to click on fork. That's important because we need to make changes here. and you can actually just choose your private, I mean, wherever you want to put that, right? I cannot fork it to, you know, my own username, so just the organizations I'm connected with. So that is something that I just assume that you're familiar with. And then in the next step, what you do is we're going to actually install it now and say, all right, so that is a component. So I'm going to say neoan3 add component, and then whatever, you know, in my case that's called, and then neoan3 PWA. That's the name, and then you give it your location on GitHub. So in my case, that's of course the original now. neoan3 PWA.git. I hope there's no typo in there. So that would be basically your username here, and then, you know, like whatever changes you made and so on. I mean, I think that should be pretty self-explanatory. And we're going to check that out. And we now basically have a component. Why don't we? Oh, still running. Ooh. Okay. Okay, I see. So I've got a conflict here now. This might happen to you as well, by the way, if you have, I'm sorry, depending on what you work with here in different apps. So I'm going to make this change here now. So what you would normally do now is naturally to say like, okay, let me see where the conflict happens. So here, you know, in my package it says dev master because this is basically still under development. So I'm not going to change that now. I'm rather going to change it here. Just quickly see whether or not I have like more complicated conflicts here to worry about. I would, you know what? I'm going to change that here. I'm actually going to change it very quick and dirty. Don't do that normally, you know, in like playing around a master and so on. But what I will do is, and you know what? Do this. Kind of feeling bad for the bad practice here. So actually, you know, like whenever you do things directly in GitHub on master, like just don't. At least create a pull request and think about it, check it out, and so on. But I'm in the middle of this video, and you know, this, so I'm more or less just simply going to ignore every best practice right now. And actually, in this particular case, I'm not even sure. Yeah, so that already happened. I don't even have to run that again. So I'm just going to update with Composer. So ideally, naturally, you check that before, right? In which context are you running it? We will get to it in a second of what we will want to influence here. Okay. So let's look at this again. So what happened? I mean, of course, nothing happened. We have this application tab here in our Chrome. And the first thing that we notice in application is, okay, we have no manifest. So that's probably the first thing we want to take care of. So let's look at what we just installed and notice that we now have a PWA. And what does that do? So apparently when called, it uses a sub as a manifest or a service worker. That's pretty easy. So the next thing that we probably wonder about is like, well, how do we include a manifest? What even is that? So let's quickly look at that and understand that, okay, apparently that's a JSON, right? And this is included by a link. So let me actually just Google that quickly. Include manifest, right? And you can basically see that what we need to do here is, it is a link, rel manifest, and then the destination. So what that means for us is we're going to go into our frame. In that case, we're using the demo in what we're using here. And so let's go to our frame and say, okay, our application should include a manifest apparently. So that would be a link. So let's add it here. And it has a rel, which is manifest. And of course, it has an href. And in our case, it's going to be base. And then we say neoan3 PWA manifest. Now let's see if that worked. Okay. So all of a sudden we can now see that there is a manifest. There's a name problem here, which is understandable. So what I do here is I write demo here. And I see, okay. Now apparently we have a valid manifest. And can we install it is the question. And I'm actually wondering, I think I'm running an old version of Chrome here. It should normally tell me that there is a there's no service worker running. Oh, actually, all right, got it. Actually got one on localhost, that's why. So that's confusing. Let's ignore that. You will not see that, so because you need something else as well. And this is probably something that you can find here again. It's like, okay, so how do I include the service worker? Let's not dig into that too deep. And instead just say like, okay, so we also need to include a JS file. So let's do that and say, I'm actually wondering, am I loading Node.js here? No, apparently not. Apparently not. And okay, what will that be? That will have a source, and the source will be base, and it's basically the same. neoan3 PWA, and then here we say service worker. Is that how it was written? Let me double check here. Yep, service worker. And I suppose we also need a sub to yes with the same name. Okay, got it. Also demo. Okay, so that's all we need to do. So we include a JS file. Do you need to put a type in? I think that's automatically. Let's quickly see. What's happening now? I probably just need to unregister that one to figure that one out. What's not working? Well, let's figure it out. Let's figure it out and find our service worker here. See if that's correct. So that's what it's actually doing. This is what's going with the cache name. And this should all be fine. Why do I have two of those open? Oh yeah, right. Okay. So this should kick it off. Did we forget something here? I see. Okay, so that makes sense. We need to register the service worker rather than linking directly to it. That makes so much sense. Okay. Now let's see. That looks better. And we can see those little kind of, okay, so the cache now works. So that, let's just, put us offline again. And notice that, okay, now we can actually perfectly navigate here. Oops. Give a second, that didn't seem to work. This did not seem to work. Why is that? Is that because of the redirect? That's because of the redirect. Yeah. So one thing you need to be careful of is that your links don't redirect before they work. Let's quickly check that out. Now that looks a little bit better. So let's turn us offline again. Huh. Why do you fail? Is that cache? Or is that because we played around too much? Let's see. This looks better. Yeah, I think that's it. Let's be sure. Yeah. Okay. So service workers, it's a little bit tricky. So what I do is when the framework itself will redirect you to those URLs. If your links require a redirect and that's not part of your cache, that'll simply fail because the app can't do that. But here now you can see it's working if I have correct linking in my application. It's actually interesting that we found that, because we shouldn't be lazy in getting the right links in. So as you can see, this actually renders as the URL that I'm going to land on, so make sure that that's the case, and then everything should be fine. Which basically means what we can do right now is we can simply install this to our home screen. And again, I don't know why I don't have this version. It's probably because I'm not using, I'm on localhost, not having a SSL certificate. It normally gives me those little kind of like install. So I'm going to do that from here now. And let me see where on my desktop it dropped it. Where did it put that? Maybe here. Nope. Too many screens. I seriously cannot find it. Did that not install correctly? Where are you? Okay, something's acting up on my end, but this should work fine. It might be because I have to restart my Chrome. But normally you get those little installations sign here, and then you can simply click on it, and then it's on your device. So either on your Windows or on your Android or whatever. And yeah, that's basically it. So let's just simply walk through what's actually happening under the hood and what you can influence, right? So we kind of looked at what's happening here, but just for you to understand. So the service worker would automatically get through all of your route components and search whether or not they're actual route components, so have a function in it in that case, and then they're added to the cache file. So if we look at that, what is the actual service worker do? I know that's the register. And then we can see that we have assets that those are like kind of like hard assets that we need, the favicon and the manifest and so on. So you can add to here if you have particular sources that you need to eat, need to cache, and otherwise the routes are gonna work automatically. So you're fine on that, including the 404, and so that's probably the only thing you really want to change here. Now, when it comes to the look and feel of things, so we already noticed that the name is something that you just give as a parameter, so that should be easy to solve for. And what you probably also want to do is, I don't know why this doesn't open, but what's acting up today? Well, anyway, so this little iconography that you see here, right? That's what's going to be installed on your home screen. So you probably want to customize that to your needs and represent like your branding and a web page or whatever. So you want to exchange that PNG, and as you can also see, you can define the sizes, but I mean they should be a square. And actually, let me see where. Come on, where. That will be in the manifest, of course. Where do I generate the manifest? Template. Is that pure code? Yeah, that's probably pure code. Oh, right here. Here you can basically see, okay, this is 512 times 512. And so that's what you would have to change accordingly. There are a couple of sizes that are recommended, and actually I think we already went on that Google page that would tell you that. So here we go. So 192, 512, and so on. I mean, you can basically have a couple of those that make sense and are commonly used. And I would actually advise you to use those two, because that works nicely with Android and Apple. So that's how easy it is to basically generate a PWA. Of course, when it gets more complicated, you will need to find solutions for, let's say you need database and authentication, like how does that work and so on. You will need like something like IndexedDB or something that syncs with a live database like Pouch or whatever. So things can become more complicated, but when it comes to like a very simple static content page, that's all you need to do, and you now have a full-fledged progressive web app made out of your neoan3 application. Hope that helped out. Sorry that I should have had coffee before. Was kind of a out of ad hoc video, but I guess you're used to that by now. So I hope it still helped you, and see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.